All right, welcome everyone. I will give it about a minute just to let everyone into the room. We have quite a few people signed up for our webinar today, so I'm very excited to see so much interest in our topic. All right, well, let's get started. So first of all, I want to say thank you for joining today's webinar Wednesday. Our topic is teaching leadership skills via the use of case studies, presented by Dr. Amar Kanekar. Dr. Kanekar is a professor and graduate program coordinator for the Health Education and Promotion at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock. His 18 years of teaching experience involves more than 30 different courses at both the undergraduate and graduate level in the areas of public health, health education, and health promotion. He has published more than 90 publications, and his research areas interests of focus are adolescent health, measure in health education, global health, online and hybrid pedagogy, and health behavior interventions. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Kanekar.
Yes, welcome everyone and good afternoon. And thanks so much for this nice introduction, Ashley. And we'll get started with today's session. So as the title says, it's teaching leadership skills via use of case studies. And I'll be discussing about the case studies which I use in my courses, but a general overview of case studies as well. So to start with, I have a Mentimeter questions, just few questions to know the audience. So let me go to the Mentimeter and click on the presentation to see where everyone is.
And I just put in the link so that you can all see.
Yeah, so I have a code for that as well. If you can use that code to join. And the first question is, what is your current role in public health? And we'll give it few seconds. Yeah, I'm able to see, yeah. So yeah, I'm able to see the results as we talk, and it looks okay. We have a lot of public health employees. Not many students so far or faculty.
I just reposted the link just if anyone is coming in late.
Okay.
So, but we've had a couple people respond. That we've got a couple public health students responding in the chat.
Yeah, so I'll give it a minute and then we'll move to another question. Okay, so it's kind of, yeah, we have it looks like our public health employees, but I see there are a lot of responses in the chat as well. So I haven't looked at the chat, but Ashley, does it show there are a lot of students as well?
Yep, we have a couple students, a couple employees. I think it
Okay.
pretty much reflects what we're seeing on the screen.
Okay, I'll go to the next slide. And this is an interesting question. How would you define leadership? There's a QR code for this as well. Yeah, I'll give a few minutes because we are getting the responses. Okay, so I saw some really interesting responses. Leads by example, dynamic, guiding others towards the goal, sets an example, servant leader, influence group toward a goal or mission, uh, ability to direct influence others to accomplish a task mission. Let me see what else is showing integrity and accountability in all your work, leading by example, ability to be able to pivot when necessary and communicate well internally and externally to get a problem solved, and ability to guide and motivate, role model, mentor. Okay, and then it keeps on going. Good ethics, morals, competent, dynamic, striving to set the tone and example for the team. This does not mean being perfect, but also being open to improvement. Provide a vision for a group. So a lot of good responses. Competent, dynamic, visionary, advocacy. Okay. Commitment, integrity. So a lot of great qualities in a leader. Okay, I'll move ahead with the final question. Have you ever been in a leadership role? Okay. Oh, so it looks like majority of them have been in a leadership
Yeah,
role.
we have a lot of leaders on this.
Okay, which will make it a very interesting presentation. Yes, we have a lot of public health employees. I get that, and students, and a majority of them, or most of them, have been in some kind of leadership role. That is interesting. Okay, so what I'll do is I will close this Mentimeter and we'll go along with the presentation. Okay, so I just want to start with little introductory thing about uses of case studies to teach. Uh, Case studies, and I have a video following this, but to just mention, it gives students opportunities to practice real world applications. That is one of the benefit of using case studies. It brings different perspectives to the table. It generates wide range of possible responses, and there's opportunity for metacognition, and by that I mean it's basically thinking about your thinking. So when you are involved in a case study as a discussion, or just as a part of your curriculum or your course, then you get that learning, and you think about what you're learning, and that's kind of metacognition. So I have this video which I'm not sure how many of you have seen, so I'll just share this, or I'll ask Ashley to share this as a link. So let me just share this video
I
because
just
this,
I put it in the chat for everyone too, so if
okay,
they
they
want to
can,
watch it
okay.
at a later time too.
Yeah, let me see if I can paste it here. and we can watch it like for a few minutes.
So we aren't hearing the sound on our end,
What happened?
but we don't hear the sound on our end.
Oh, you don't hear the sound? Oh, that's interesting. Well, then in that case, it's only the web link probably, which they should be able to see the web link which you have added to the
Mhm.
chat. And
I can share it on my side. I believe I have it up. So,
okay,
all right, everyone.
okay. Well, let me screen share my slides back to. Are you able to see my slides?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, let me go back and check.
I can pull up the video here on my side and share
Yeah,
it.
that would be good if you
Okay.
can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'll pull up my slides.
Okay. All right.
No matter how often you've taught a case, no matter how often you taught or how much experience you have, every time you go into the classroom, there's a sense of anticipation for the unknown. The classroom has this sort of bustling, sort of crackling, quiet energy, and everyone's wondering who's going to get the cold call today.
Every single day, it might happen, it might come.
You can make a mistake or you don't have to have the right answer. Whatever you say, the section is going to support you.
And yet, the moment when the professor calls your name for that cold call, it's kind of unlike any other jolt.
A professor will walk into the classroom and ask a student to start the discussion on a particular point of view. What would you do if you were the protagonist in the case?
What are managers' responsibilities to the societies in which they do business? Potik, why don't you get us started? How did you vote?
I voted for humanitarian. So I thought about it in the three-lens framework of ethical, legal, and economic. The arguments in favor of him being humanitarian came out to be stronger. They can afford to see their margins go down from 47% to something like 20 or 30% and still be able to offer these drugs at slightly lower prices.
What we try to do with the case method is bring as much of reality into the classroom as we can. So the cases are 15 to 20 pages long. They typically describe a complicated situation in a company where a manager has got to make a decision.
We've crafted the cases so you don't have complete information. So you have to learn how to advocate and learn how to make decisions in the presence of incomplete information.
And it gives students ideally enough information so that they can put themselves in the shoes of the protagonist. They've got to think about the people they're working with, the technology, the industry, the competition, the overall economic environment.
The classroom is really sort of a culmination of a learning experience that actually starts from the moment that the students actually pick up their case assignment.
So, my case preparation is generally a two-stage process. To start, it's a solitary exercise. I read the case on my own. I'm trying to take in as much information as I can.
We're reading cases, from the med world, from the tech world, from the education world, things that you haven't necessarily done. And most students go through a period of thinking, I must be the admissions mistake. Because look at all of these people that I'm around.
I think I've learned a lot from my classmates, from their different backgrounds, the way that they see the world, their point of view shaped by their entire background. background and where they came from, and you learn to see that there are a lot of different ways of looking at the same issue.
Students are in learning teams or study groups where they share their ideas.
It's almost like a mini case study experience in that discussion group because we will challenge each other and we're very free about it.
Yeah, sorry, but it was interesting, like the corporate culture.
We count on the diversity. It's one of the things that we know even from research is that the more diversity you have, the better problem solving you have. And that's what we see in a case discussion is you have better problem solving because of all the different kinds of people that we have in the class.
Every professor not only knows your name, but they know where you went to college, where you're from.
Throughout the class, they're very much interested in your personal and professional development.
Before every class, we have a meeting and the professors discuss their ideas and their strategies for how that case might be taught.
We're missing an opportunity to introduce what's really going on in terms of culture and capitalism.
We spend some time talking about the substance of the case and sometimes talking about the best questions to ask in class.
You go into the class and you're quite ready to work your plan. But then what you do is you then have to get ready to be really flexible and then to give up the plan. So you know this is coming next. So like where's the line? Right. I mean, there's, too much. I mean, how would you even think about that?
It's all well and good to say, oh, governments, NGOs, whoever should be on top of it and alert the public when the market's failing, when you have a situation where you have a tragedy that comes.
If you can just imagine what it's like to sit in a room with 90 other people who are all there committed to talk about a given subject, a given case.
Right. Megumi, is that how it works in your experience with respect to malaria drugs and things like that?
One thought that came to my mind as Victoria was speaking is this issue of, will the company be the one that takes responsibility and bears some of that cost?
Because someone might say something particularly out of the box or off the wall. You see all the hands in the classroom shoot up and really the twinkle in the professor's eye at that moment.
To what extent do I just have an obligation to take opportunities to make a change versus actually creating opportunities and going out of my way?
So I think we can stop whenever you want, Ashley.
Let's face it.
Okay, thank you. So what I'll do is I'll share my slides now, back again. Okay, so are you able to see my screen now?
Yes, it's not in presenter mode, but yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, great. So, so this was just to give a preview of what case studies are and how they can be used. But what we have it in different settings. So you can have case studies like you saw in person. Well, let me see slideshow. Okay, so you can use those in person activities like you saw in the video. You can use it as a hybrid case studies or online discussion based case studies in your classroom, or you can use it in a fully online course. It could be a virtual synchronous class or an asynchronous class, the way I'll be talking about soon, the way I use it. And we can design it in a way that we can evaluate those using rubrics, either in a discussion forum in an online course or as assignments. So having said that, let's go to the course which I'm going to talk about where I use these case studies. And the title of the course is Organization and Administration of Health Education Programs. It's a summer class, it's a senior level undergraduate course, and it's a fully online asynchronous class. So there's the description of this class, and the purpose of this course is teaching managerial skills, leadership skills for emerging health education professionals. And it's, as I said, it's a senior level class. And these are some of the course objectives. So it has a wide variety of things we discuss. We talk about organizational culture, organizational boards, board meetings, leadership skills, fiscal resources, managing human resources, and so on. So, but before we go into that, there's something I wanted to just make sure everyone's on the page. So, what's the difference here between management versus leadership? So, management is doing things right, leadership is doing the right thing. So, that is in a simple way put together. Management makes a system work, while leadership builds systems or transforms existing ones. Managers focus on coordinating efficiency building within an organization, while leaders focus on effectiveness in relation to external environment. And I remember some of you mentioned about this when I asked the question about how do you define leadership. So that was one of the things, one of the comments mentioned. So basically, those are some of the in simple way differentiating factors between management and leadership. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a couple of case studies from my course, which touch upon or discusses some of these concepts. So when we are discussing about organizational dynamics, the key concepts we talk about are managers must focus on macro management as well as micromanagement of issues. And then macro management issues are important for a department manager whose focus includes expanding the department's influence in the organization and the community. So if we wanted to discuss some of these key concepts, how would you go about doing that? And I have this case study one, which I will ask Ashley to add it to the, you can add it to the chat, or you can put it as a web link. If you can pull this up for everyone, or I can do that as well.
Yeah, sure. No, I can pull it up.
Okay.
Everyone, I just put it in the chat for you all to see. So you can follow along, and I see a lot of you are in it already. So I will just,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not able to see that on the screen. Are you able to share it on the screen?
Let me just share one more time.
Yeah, so I can see it at the same moment.
Okay, can you see it now?
See it. Maybe I have to stop share my screen.
Oh,
Let
maybe,
me try
yes.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah, let me try and stop share my screen. Yes, I'm able to see it now. So what I'm this is just an example which I have it in one of my texts which I've chosen for this course. And if you see, it gives a setting for discussing this, a county health department, that's the setting. And it also gives a problem. The new health educator wanted to quickly establish a presence and expand the health education program influence significantly during the first year. And it also gives some of alternatives considered to the participants. So this is something to think about. Some of the alternatives which students can consider are these, and you can read those, and the actions taken are mentioned down by the health educator in consultation with the CEO, and it also talks about outcome. So I'll just talk a little bit about that. 5 other agencies agreed to participate. The health educator chaired the coordinating committee, and the marketing function was distributed among the 5 agencies. The screening and education programs had a relatively modest number of participants. The extensive publicity awareness created was in health education. It was very valuable networking which occurred during this. And then the most important part is these questions, which are for students to think about based on this case study. I've used these. Usually, I like using questions because they make students think about it, and at times you may keep it open-ended as well. But here are some questions. What is the downside of focusing a new program on referrals? Is it realistic, you think, for the person to do that? Is a person more likely to be successful encouraging other departments to conduct prevention programs, organize or asking them to do an organization-wide community project? Is a health educator likely to be successfully adopting a strategy of promoting existing prevention activities in departments through the media? What are the advantages of such an approach? What are the advantages and disadvantages of doing something with high community visibility quickly as opposed to engaging in long range planning? Are there other alternatives that the health educator should have considered? Now, this is interesting because when I use this case study in my course, there's no one right answer. So when I pose this to students, I get different answers to these questions, and that's where that metacognition is, because you want your participants, your learners to think about these questions. They can look at those alternates, you look at the problem, but again, as I said, there's no one right answer. So since there's no one right answer, the challenge is also how do you analyze this? So I have a rubric which I don't have it right now in the presentation, but the rubric is designed in a way that it is not very specific. It's very broad. So I look at if they have they had enough critical thinking? Have they analyzed other responses in depth? What have they? So there are lots of other ways of assessing it since there's no one right answer. And which is what I like about a lot of things because all these issues, and I have like 5 different, or I think more than that, case studies. And for this presentation, I have just pulled 2 examples, but I have more than that. And again, as I said, there's no one right answer. So it's very interesting for students to answer as well as for me to look at it and understand what they understand by leadership or how their experience has uh, tuned them to answer these questions. And based on where they are in their leadership experience, you see various differences. Let me go back to the slide again. Okay, thanks. Yeah, so so that was case study 1, and the second one is about organizational charts. This is another topic where we talk about how the work is divided, how specialized functions are coordinated, and look for ways to increase organizational efficiency, and then how the chart is important, how it is used by managers in health organizations, and how they can be used basically to increase the efficiency. Uh, should be made available to all staff so they know all channels of communication, authority, and information flow. So we do talk about different organizational charts. So can you go ahead, Ashley? Thank you. Can you pull the case study too? Okay, so this is different case studies again. Here, the question is again, it's a Tri-County Health Department was preparing to add a health education program and was considering how to incorporate it in their chart. So the question was raised as to where the new program would most likely flourish given the politics and personalities of key administrators. Now this gets very interesting. So one main issue was whether to support and nurture the nursing department that would occur if the health education reported to the nursing would outweigh the narrower focus that would likely occur. It was recognized that while much of the work would be with nursing, some of the focus should be on other units. So this again goes to the organizational chart and hierarchy. So there were different alternatives considered. The health education program could be organized as a separate unit with the director on par with the director of nursing. However, this would drive the cost of the position up beyond what was likely to be available. Another alternative was to place the program at a level below nursing and to have split lines. And the third was to call the position a coordinator of health education and health promotion program and have the position report to the administrator. So these are some different ideas to consider in terms of organizational chart and hierarchy. A separate department of community health promotion was created. So that was the action taken, and the director was placed at the same level as the director of nursing. Because the nursing director supervised several nurses and the health educator would be a one person operation, a salary differential could be justified. Moreover, to free additional dollars for salary, the secretariat support position was reduced to half time for at least that startup. So there are a lot of here things to think about as we are discussing this case study, and then we look at what the outcome was. So the outcome was the health educator was the most support and success in units other than the nursing. The personalities and politics were such that nursing preferred to keep doing its own education rather than work with the new director. The new director of health education focused time and energy on non-nursing units and developed highly visible, highly effective programs, while educational services were offered to nursing. The administrator was cognizant of the situation, recorded the annual performance reviews of two directors. So this goes more into the human resources part. And the health education and director and nursing director worked well together, and several major new educational initiatives evolved. So that was the bottom line outcome. Now the questions are really interesting here. Are there other ways the administrator could have handled the creation of a new unit other than what you have seen? How might the political tensions have been eased once the decision was made? What strategies can be used with working with difficult people? Now that's very interesting, and that's kind of any kind of position question. How should the health educator keep the administrator informed without appearing to be unduly critical of the director of nursing? How might the administrator increase communication and cooperation between the two directors? Are there any strategies that could have been used to address the friction between two directors? And the last question was very interesting, I thought, because that's kind of an open-ended where the participant need to think about, is there something outside of all of these alternatives which have been mentioned? And some of my students do talk about something different, and some students think, okay, these are kind of most of the alternatives which one can think about. So again, that's why. But this case study touches upon a lot of different factors. It not only just talks about organizational hierarchy, uh, and then the board, or it also talks about how one can work with different departments, and then what happens when you're working in an organization and how you can communicate better. So it touches upon all those course objectives which I had shown you earlier. Okay, so let's go ahead. Okay, so we did talk about this study. Okay, so here I have, I'm shifting a little bit on use of generative AI, artificial intelligence. So we are in an era of artificial intelligence, and uh, one can use it to create case studies. And I've used it not for this course, but I've used it in general in a couple of my courses, and I can maybe I can share. This is one of the prompt which I have included because I'm not familiar. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with this, but if you want to use any of the AI tools to generate any of things like case studies or any aspect, then you have to be really good at generating prompts and what kind of prompts you put, because it depends on the way you use these prompts, you'll get the output. And so what I'm going to do is I can add this prompt to the chat GPT and we'll see how it, what do you see. So let me just go back and okay, so I'm trying to use this prompt one for chat GPT and I'll share the screen with you soon. Okay, so I don't know, are you able to see my screen now?
Yep, we see your.
Okay, so I'm just demonstrating how it can look like. So, okay, so it says what's on your mind today. And if I'm an instructor teaching an undergraduate senior level course on leadership and management in public health, can you please provide me a case study of no more than 500 words, which includes citations in whatever format you would like, along with at least 5 open-ended questions to assess student understanding of the case material. And let's go. Okay, so this is the chat GPT. It gives you immediately a case study. And if you see, it's about Flint water crisis. And so it tells you about what has happened, everything. And then it also gives you open-ended questions. Now it doesn't, it says that please let me know what citation style you want. So depending on what citation style you would like, you can add that. I've left the citation as author here, and it gives you open-ended questions, placeholder format. It gives you references, and the questions are good, and you can kind of modify them or use it as you would like for your particular course or your particular purpose. I have issues with the references. This is something I've found about when I've used, because a lot of AI tools, they hallucinate. And by hallucination, I mean is they give you incorrect references or there are some errors. Now, I don't know about these. These look to be okay, but you don't know. You may have to go and check if they are correct references. But and you can go back and you can look at that, but you get a different variety of open-ended questions, and some could be good, some may not be good. If you don't like something, you can delete them, you can modify them. So this is just one example of how this can look like. And then I have another one. This is, I've said Gemini, and you can try this. So this is another tool, so you can try this on your own. I wouldn't want to do that, but you can just do a similar kind of process. And what I've seen is depending on which AI tool you use, there are some differences. So you won't get a similar kind of description if you use Gemini, or there's many more. So depending on whichever tool you want, you can use those, uh, and you will be able to generate a case study. You can also generate a rubric for this case study. You can do that, and it's a similar process. You can just add instruction, it will generate a rubric, and you can modify it or change it however you would like. And so that is something I wanted to talk about, wanted to discuss a little bit about how you can generate your own case studies or scenarios for whatever purpose you would like to use. You can use it for teaching or discussion or any other kind of. Uh, I I have these references and I will stop here and we can take questions, Ashley, if anyone has, and we have some questions as well, right?
Yes, yes. So if you do have questions, you can put those in the chat. We'll be happy to answer those here at this time. So while we're waiting, the first question I have for you is, what do you think the role of AI in designing case studies for teaching will be in the future?
I think it will be used quite a lot because it's already been discussed, and actually a lot of faculty across are encouraged to use it as a teaching tool, though they want to make sure that when you use it, you want to make it meets your purpose and it has the right references and things like that. So you have to have a human check on whatever you do. Uh, yeah, once you have that, I see a lot of use of these in generation of case studies, and a lot of faculty are using it. For this presentation, the case studies which I've shown you and which I use, I like the text because it has those case studies already there, and I've always used those, and they have been really good in terms of addressing those objectives and those particular chapters. That's another part, because if you're developing a case study, then you want to make sure that it meets your purpose and your objectives as well. But I do see a lot of use of that.
Yeah, great. Do you believe that students and professionals should be using AI to create or co-create leadership-based public health case studies?
That's a very interesting question. And when you're talking about students and faculty, uh, I would I'm currently doing another research study where we are looking at student perceptions of using AI and ethical aspect, and what are faculty's perceptions and use. And they're different in some ways. Students are concerned about how they can use it more ethically, or what can be non-ethical versus at what point one can say it's not really ethical to use, and things like plagiarism or academic misconduct and all those aspects. Whereas other people, faculty, and they know kind of how to use that more effectively in their teaching compared to what the students' perceptions may be. Yeah, I think co-creation is amazing, because co-creation of knowledge is what you want students and faculty to be doing together. But again, there's a lot of discussion about and there's a lot of literature emerging about creativity and what is creativity. If you're just using AI, is it creative enough, or is it just you're modifying something create done by AI? Is that creativity? So there are lots of uh, questions and discussions about it at this point. But I would certainly, I believe that students and faculty will be co-creating it as we go along. And it's just that what I think is they need to be taught how to use it or harness this potential in a way that it is very effective. But I see that being used going ahead. Yeah, certainly.
Great, thanks. I guess the next question is about ethical usage of AI. So what do you think ethical usage of AI should be in designing these case studies?
Yeah, that's a very interesting. Well, designing the case studies, as I said, the ethical usage would be what I think from my perspective is if you are using the correct prompts, and that's called prompt engineering. If you're engineering your prompts in a very good way, and then if one is looking at the case study, how that fits into their objectives and goals, and then looks at uh, what kind of questions specifically you want, uh, because you may not like all the questions or all the questions may not be good, then you may have to modify those. But as a starting point, I think just to brainstorm ideas and use that, I would think it from my perspective that is fine using it as a and again, depending on what tool you're using for generative AI, are you using ChatGPT, Gemini? There are many, there's Perplexity, there are lots of different tools. And if you, as I said, try the same prompts in different tools, you'll get different responses. And some are better, some are not that good.
Yeah, I've noticed that myself. We have another question about AI. So how does the use of AI factor into preventing plagiarism of students?
That's a really huge question, and I think we can have another presentation on that. And again, I'm reviewing some literature on that right now. And one of the articles I read was you have plagiarism. Uh, Traditionally, what it means, copying someone's images or text and things and saying it's as your own, which is traditional one. But now you're having AI plagiarism. That's a new term which some people have introduced, which is going to be different in the years ahead. So that is going to be differently construed or talked about what it would be. Because all of the generative AI is trained on some literature. So there is some existing literature and one is using that in different ways, and then you're modifying that. So that's a good. Even I don't have an answer to that because if there is an existing piece of literature and if you're using that, you may be modifying. Then will that be plagiarism or is it not, or is it how much of it is there? So that's an open question. And again, that comes back to the creativity part because when you're using AI, you're not creating anything new. It's you already have all that information with these large language models. You already have everything there. You're trying to just have those prompts and retrieve that in different ways, and then you're modifying. Creativity would be when you don't have anything and then you're trying to think about something. I mean, that is one of the ways people think about it, like original creativity. So this is completely, there's a lot of, this is a topic of big debate and discussion, which we are having on daily basis, and uh, different streams are having different views. So depending on where you are in public health, it's kind of midway. If you are a STEM person in science, technology, engineering, they're encouraging a lot of AI usage and they want their students to use it because it helps them in different ways and they want them to learn. If you are at another end, humanities or some, they'd say that oh, that's really bad and one shouldn't be using it and all. So it's kind of a mixed kind of thing. So it's a topic of discussion ongoing.
Yeah, that's great. So we have another question. This question is about what resources or support does a leader need to execute this plan successfully? So
Which plan?
I think the like case studies, using case studies and
One is you need flexibility in your course design and course implementation. Uh, in whatever department you are in, they should be supportive of use of case studies and know the value of case studies in teaching and learning and how that is important for, and as I showed you in that video, it's very effective in person but it can be effective online. As I showed you, I use it in this, and what I do also is at some point I do ask my learner students what they think about this particular modalities and all, and they do like it because it generates a lot of thinking and it helps in understanding all these concepts in a better way. But as I said, I mean, there are books depending on what course you're talking about, and some books have case studies as resources. If you don't have those as resources, then you can generate case studies. Either you can sit and think about what is your topic and generate a hypothetical case studies, which all of us used to do in the past before AI, and now we have AI, so that helps in facilitating that, and that's another resource. So if you have it as a free resource, you can use it. Sometimes if you can use AI as a paid resource as well. So for that, they can do a lot of additional things for you. So those are some of the resources which you can use.
Great, thank you. Okay, a couple more questions just coming in really
Good.
quickly. So good. We've got about 9 minutes left, so we'll try to get to as many as possible. So the first question that just came in is, what strategies have you found most effective in helping students translate what they learn from case studies into real-world leadership behaviors?
Well, that's a good question. So since the goal of this course is to prepare them to understand these concepts as a special one of the courses in the curriculum, and that prepares them for real world applications, because these students are seniors and they go out. One of the courses which they take later is internships, and then they go out into the workforce. So these kind of courses or these case studies prepare them in how they would function in when they're working in an internship setting, or when they actually go out in a job. And a lot of students work as a health administrator or in a health organization, any kind of organization. So obviously, these are all these skills which we talked about, particularly the second case study, where we talk about different departments. They may be employed in a particular department, how they are going to approach it, and how they are going to communicate things. So it's a direct application in a real world setting.
Great, thank you. The next question is, we have one of our students, and they are asking about, what advice can you give a 19-year-old sophomore who's a public health major?
Advice about anything particular about this course, or
I think they're looking for any advice right now.
Well, just to any advice would be just to uh, get as much as information and skill development through their curriculum if they are in an undergraduate public health program, and try to use those skills in a real world setting. If they have that application in their curriculum via service learning or internships or something, whatever they learn in their coursework, try to transfer those or apply those to real world settings, like I said, through internships, service learning, or other projects.
Great. Our next question is, how important are case studies in teaching leadership skills in public health?
Well, I think they're really important because, as I said in this presentation, uh, they we discuss about leadership, but managerial aspects as well, and sometimes some of those can overlap. And if one is going to be in any organizational setting, they could be in a leadership role, but even if they're not in a higher leadership roles, they're just an employee. they are extremely important. And the examples which I gave were just 2 case studies. We have case studies about recruitment, uh, uh, creating a, a job announcement, and lots of different things. So these are all very real world kind of things, applicability. So I think, yes, they are really important.
Great. I think this will be probably our last question, but what are the specific elements in case studies which improve students and public health professionals' understanding of leadership skills in public health?
Yeah, so the elements are, I think, critical thinking. That is the biggest element, because all these questions make students think about that particular scenario, which is very real world. It's not something which they will not come across. They will come across these kind of situations. So they are kind of prepared when they critically think about that and answer these questions. Because I think the biggest thing which I like about is critical thinking and metacognition. So they think about these questions. Okay, if I'm in this particular situation, how am I going to address this? Because I may be most probably in one of these situations. So I think the critical thinking aspect is the biggest learning aspect of these case studies.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for all your questions. Dr. Kanekar, we're so grateful for you to spend this hour with us today, sharing your expertise. And I hope everyone will join us again next month on the second Wednesday of the month for our next webinar Wednesday.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was good talking with everyone.